Hey there everyone, welcome back. So in the last video I posted about my Ibex 800, I actually covered 3 topics in that video, but I realized it just got to be way too long. So I decided to split it up into 3 separate videos. So in the second video, we'll actually come right in to the second discussion, which is my reflections and my takeaways from my recent Saddlesore IronButt 1000 ride that I just did last weekend on the 450. So let's jump right into it.
The next thing I want to talk about, and I'll keep this somewhat brief, is the IronButt ride, because I did come away from that ride with a few ideas, a few changes to my plans, and I just wanted to kind of walk through how the day went. I think the sort of large summary is that the day went fairly well overall. I think I fared a little bit better on this IronButt ride than I did on my first one. It was an hour shorter. But I think just overall, I just did a little bit better. I think the bike, given that it's a twin, it's just a smoother ride, so I think I was less beat up from just the 1,000 miles of riding. It was exactly the same distance, which was kind of shocking, 1,004 miles. I think the route was definitely more scenic than my last one, even though there were some moments on the first one that were pretty good. And I think I proved to myself that I was perfectly fine with really long days. I had a couple stretches in there where I was really kind of struggling a little bit, but I don't remember having a low as I did on my first IronButt ride. There was definitely a moment on that first ride, sort of in the 650s, 700s, where I was really struggling, and I almost quit and turned to head home when I did that first one. But this time I hit that 650 mile mark, and I had 100 miles straight highway section, and I kind of just put my head down and just said, you know, let's just get this done. And by the time we got through that section, we were over 750 miles, and we were turning and starting our way back across Arizona. So I just think I fared mentally a lot better. I got frustrated at the end when I couldn't get that fuel receipt, printed a receipt, and nothing came out. And then I tried to go in to get a copy from the teller, and they literally were just closing the doors and locking and shutting down the gas station for the night. But I did still submit all my paperwork for the IronButt ride, so we'll see what they say. We'll see if they accept my proof. I did also get frustrated a couple of times because of traffic. I picked a route that I thought was going to be pretty good, but when I got to Grand Junction, Colorado, I got stuck in that town for probably 40 minutes just trying to get through all the traffic lights. Same thing with Durango. Durango was just an absolute crap show. Also, there was a couple of sections that I was on that I thought I was going to be able to go like 85 miles per hour, and they had like major highways under construction, especially up on I-70. I was on that highway for, I want to say, about 50-60 miles, and it was just single lane the whole time. So it was pretty rough. I was getting really worked up. And then on top of that, as I mentioned in the video, I had this really weird problem with my navigation phone. So, as you know, I use my old iPhone as my oftentimes as my navigation, and I'm going to bring the second phone with me so that I can have Gaia running while I'm also running CarPlay as a little bit of a redundant check there. And it broke. It wasn't working. It was giving me all these weird errors about certificates and network connectivity. I'm not going to let this sour me. The phone is dead. I can still see a map on it, so I can still look at things. I just can't pull up any dot, like any live tracking. I can't pull up my actual route. Nothing is working. Anytime I connect to like anything Wi-Fi or hotspot, it just says like internet unavailable and unable to verify certificates. It's very messed up. So that's how it is. I don't have time to deal with it on this ride, so we're gonna just push on. And it just could not connect through either my hotspot or through Wi-Fi. It was like completely broken, and I couldn't figure out why. And I stopped multiple times in the morning for coffee, and I would quickly jump on the Wi-Fi and be like, oh, this will fix it. And I probably lost another 30 minutes trying to get that damn phone to work in the morning, especially in Monticello. I sat at that little coffee shop for 30 minutes trying to get it working. I couldn't get it working. I basically gave up on it and just was relegated to kind of riding the route as I knew it, and then every once in a while I'd pull over and check my phone, my actual phone, to make sure I was on course. But I'd made one last stop in Ridgway, Colorado for a break, and I Googled some things and stumbled across a couple of ideas and tried it, and did some changes on the phone, and it worked. And so I got it working, and after that I was in a really good mood, and I had my navigation, I was feeling good, and I only started to really struggle in like the last 100 miles or so once the sun set, and my knees started to ache a lot. I could tell I was getting a little mental foggy. I had some mental fatigue going on, and by the time I made it to that last gas station in Loop, Arizona, at 9:60, I was already kind of out of it, and then when the receipt didn't print, I just got really angry and frustrated, and I was just cursing and swearing, and yeah, so I wasn't happy. But ultimately I did just do what I could to document that visit, and then I finished out the last 45 miles and got home. So all in all, it was a great success. There's always going to be some kinks, some things that pop up that you got to navigate, some difficulties, and in the grand scheme of things, nothing major happened. There was no problems with the bike, no major problems with me, no injuries, no mechanical problems, no major route changes or road closures or anything like that. So I really couldn't have asked for much better. I mean, it was near perfect, other than the construction and the traffic and my phone acting up. So yeah, really happy. I'm glad I did it. I was really not sure I was going to be able to handle a second IronButt ride. You know, that first one, you're kind of amped to do it. It's a novelty. You kind of want to check that box, but once you've done it once, there's not a whole lot of motivation to necessarily do it again. So I was worried that I was going to get like 400 miles in and be like, screw this, and that was going to really impact my plans, because if I you know, got 400, 500 miles in and was like, meh, that's going to have major impact on my plans to ride around the States. So all in all, it was a great success. That's the short of it. The one big takeaway, though, that I wanted to share with you that I did come away with regarding my plans is I've decided to change one major component of my ride around the States, and that is I'm no longer going to start that ride with an IronButt ride. That was my original plan, is I was going to leave Flagstaff and I was literally going to ride 1,000 miles to Oklahoma for the first day. And then on that second day, I was going to ride like, I don't know, something like 100 miles. Now the reason that I chose to have such a short second day was, one, because I wanted to do the IronButt on day one to sort of prove I could kickstart myself into sort of long miles. And two, I wanted essentially a full day off on my second day. You know, I think I had only planned to do like 100 miles that day. And while that's great, that does give me a nice long rest day. It's complicated by the fact that, you know, I'm checking into a room that day and I can't even check in until 3 p.m. So if I arrive in that town, you know, say like 10 a.m. or something, I have nowhere to stay, like, or to kind of like unpack and just kind of get set up for the night. So I'm basically just bouncing around to like coffee shops or whatever, and I'm not really resting because I'm kind of just waiting to check into my room. So that didn't make sense. But also, just having now just done the IronButt ride and knowing and kind of remembering just how long of a day that is, I just decided I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to start off this crazy long adventure with the longest day of the whole adventure before I even get started. The third thing that I realized that I kind of hadn't appreciated was, you know, I did this IronButt ride in 19 hours. Now, let's say that my phone works well, I'm just cruising along on an interstate, going 85 the whole time. Let's say I do it in 17 hours. Well, that's great and all, but I'm going to be going across 2 time zones on that first day. So I'm losing 2 hours just by going east. Because I'm on Arizona time, which right now is the same as Pacific, and I'm going to be finishing in Central, so I'm going to be adding 2 hours just by changing time zones. So even if it only takes me 17 actual hours to do it, it's really still going to take me 19. So that means I really got to leave that first day again at like sort of 2 in the morning if I want to get in by like 10. And I really don't want to have that long of a day on my first day. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to leave early. I'll probably still leave at like 5 a.m. But I'm going to go about 620 miles on that first day and stop for the night in Amarillo, Texas. And that leaves me about 400 miles on the second day, which if I get up early and bang out 400 miles, I should get to my destination a little bit after lunch, right around the time that I'll need to check in to my room. So that still gives me a full afternoon and evening to relax, to get all my stuff in order, to do a live stream, to do whatever I want to do without having to like show up, you know, some god-awful time at night or ride 1,000 miles the day before. So that's the change that I've made. I'm splitting up my staging rides into 2 rides now, and I think it's going to be much better on me and on the bike, and just overall. I'm not going to be putting 1,000 miles on the bike while it's effectively still in the break-in period. So all good. I think it's a very smart decision. I've already updated this on the website as well. So that's the big change. Yeah, so that's the sort of, so I think I'll end my discussion on my IronButt ride there.
All right, well, there you have it. That's the end of the second part of the extra long video series. In the third part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my day-to-day breakdown of how I've sort of planned out my ride around the States. But as you heard in this video, my Saddlesore 1000 ride was a great success. I learned that I am still capable of these long mileage days. And the only real change that came out of that ride regarding my plans for my larger RATS ride was that I've decided to break up that staging component, that 1,000 miles that I need to cover just to get set up to start the ride. Because I am starting my ride in southeastern Kansas and I live in Arizona, I have to get there so that I can officially start the clock. And I'm going to now do that as sort of a 600-mile day and a 400-mile day. And I think that makes a lot more sense given the time zones and just all the other factors that I talked about. So we will get this third video out as well by the end of the week. And then I have a couple other videos planned while we're still in this sort of preparation phase of my RATS ride. One of those videos will be my oil change and all of my sort of first maintenance checks, the chain and all the cables and nuts and bolts and that sort of thing and spokes. And then I've got a couple other videos that I want to go over as we're getting into these final weeks here. I am going to do a full shakedown ride. So I'm going to load everything on the bike as it will be for the ride and do a 50-mile ride like that just to make sure there's nothing weird going on with the bike. So we're going to do a full-on test shakedown ride. We're going to test all of our equipment, our phones, our electronics, make sure everything's good to go so that I can hop on the bike the morning I begin and just go. And then I will do a more detailed breakdown of the entire trip as well, really kind of walk you through some of the highlights. And that'll basically be it. There'll be a few other things in there. And then, of course, there'll be a live stream right before we start the actual adventure from Kansas. And then it'll just be the ride itself. So it's really getting close now. We're 3 weeks from today. I will be already probably in Amarillo, Texas at this time of day. So it's getting close. This is really exciting. You can tell I'm getting excited about this. So anyway, I've talked too much. Take care, everyone. Be safe out there. I'll see you in the next video.